Hello, how are you getting on, guys? So, welcome to our first of our Easter revision courses for geography. Now, this Easter revision course is going to be focused on physical geography, and you're going to find the notes in the downloadable notes section of the platform. So guys, the notes you're looking for are these notes here, but I've also popped them in the chat for you so you can grab them there if you need. And again, if you have any questions during the class, please just pop them in the chat and I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. Now, to start off here today, what we're going to be starting with is we're going to be jumping into these notes. We're going to be popping across over as far as our exam structure on page number 2, and we're going to get started here with our exam structure before diving into physical geography, which is more than likely going to be more than 50% of your Leaving Cert exam written paper. So let's get started. Now guys, to start off here, physical geography, or exam structure, I should say here to start off. Well, if you're currently in 6th year, and guys, I know there's a lot of 5th years going to be watching, we'll obviously put this up for you guys next year. You're going to be doing your exam the first Friday of the Leaving Cert, which is this Friday, the 6th of June, 2025. Now, just on the notes, if it does say 2024, I just want you to change that date there for me to the 6th of June, 2025. Now, time-wise, what is your exam? Well, your exam is that 9:30 exam to 12:20 exam. That means that is your 2-hour and 15-minute exam. That seems like a very long period of time, but let me tell you this. It is a very, very short period for what you're going to be doing. In your Leaving Cert exam, more than likely, you're going to be answering 10 out of 12 short questions, 8 marks each, moving on to that structured and essay style section of your exam and answering 7 or 8 essay style questions, as well as 3 or 4 part A's. That's a very, very short period of time, so we have to be very, very mindful about our timing. The exam itself, marks-wise, is worth 400 marks. Now, that 400 marks is for the written exam itself. And that written exam is 80% of your final grade. The other 100 marks is for your field investigation. And something that we actually looked at last week together, and you had lots of questions based on that. Won't be speaking about that today, but remember there is a number of different masterclasses on the platform, and also we did have that Q&A kind of style, kind of checklist that we had. And again, I told you I would, and I will actually after this class, pop in that on the platform. Now, in relation to the exam itself, well, the exam itself is 2 parts. You have your part number 1, which is your short questions, and part number 2, which is your structured and essay style questions. And in the exam, you're going to get 2 separate booklets, one with your short questions, but at the back, a lot of blank paper, written paper and graph paper, and then you're going to get section number 2 or part 2 separate, which is going to be the structured and essay style questions, your part A's and your essays. Now, part number 1, as I said, is your short questions. Your short questions is worth 80 marks, which is 20% of that written paper. Timing wise, it's 20 to 25 minutes. Guys, if you're going for a H1, which on average, a normal year without all of these amendments, 3.6% of students, approximately, should be getting a H1, okay? That might even go down even further in the coming years, but that's what should be getting a H1. I would be saying to you, you shouldn't be doing them in 20 to 25. You actually should be aiming for them in under 20 minutes in your Leaving Cert exam, because what you need is you need to utilize that time elsewhere. In the short questions, you have to answer 10 out of 12 short questions. 8 marks each, 80 marks in total, 20 minutes of your time. Now, should you answer all 12 of those short questions? Yes, you should. And all that happens is your examiner will correct them all, and the assessor, which is the software or the platform that your examiner is using, will pick out the ones with the highest grades. That's that. Literally, that's all they have to do there. Topics-wise, what can be examined in those short questions? 1, 2, 3. A lot of students think that everything on the Leaving Cert, on the syllabus, can be asked. Absolutely not. There is only 3 sections that can be examined in your short questions. Number 1 is the part that we are looking at today. It is physical geography. Most students love to see physical geography questions. You love to see questions based on earthquakes and volcanic activity, the rock cycle, weathering, karst landscapes. But I'm telling you here and now what you will be getting wrong. Guys, the questions you have to look out for here, the chapters you have to look out for is glaciation. You don't like when you get a glaciation question, I can tell you that. You don't like when you can get an isostasy, and I'll be building out isostasy after the Easter break on the platform, just so you know, okay? Higher level topic only. You don't like to get questions on the sea. These are just 3. You also don't like folding and faulting. These are the questions that students don't like to see short questions based on. But all your examiner has to do here in them short questions is put 1 question on glaciation, 1 on isostasy, and suddenly there's only 10 questions that you like. Be very, very careful, be mindful. It's not going to be all the rock cycle, it's not going to be all earthquakes and volcanic activity and all the ones that you want. The examiner will have at least 2 of those in there. They do every single year. First thing that can be examined in your short questions, as we said here, is physical geography. The second is regional geography, which we have our revision course later in the week on. Now, even if you're not planning on doing regional geography for an essay style question, what you can do is just pop into the on-demand and look at where I've had these answered. Every single year you get about 1, sometimes 2 regional geography short questions. Basically, it's the same question, very, very similar question every single year. The last and third thing that can be asked, and the one that's going to eat up your time massively, is the skills section. Now, the skills section is going to include all the stuff, as I said, that's going to be extremely, extremely time consuming. Make a little note of this. This is going to be your OS maps. It's going to be your aerial photographs. It's going to be your weather skills. It's going to be them stats questions, the one where they give you maybe an infogram and ask you a couple of questions. That is your skills section. Now, it's them ordnance survey map, aerial photograph questions, particularly the ordnance survey map I always find when they ask you for distance or cross-sectional. That is what eats up your time. Every single year, that is going to take longer than your physical geography questions. Students also seem to refuse to learn that skills section. Guys, I have that on the platform for you. It's literally probably 2 half-hour lessons, and we go through every single past paper question. They ask the same thing every single year. You get that weather skills question, that there is going to be 1 out of them 10 that you get fully right. It's going to be 2% of the written paper straight away. Now, that's my short questions. 10 out of 12 short questions, 8 marks each, 80 marks in total, 20 minutes of my time. Examining 3 things: physical, regional, and my skills section. In physical, I'm going to look out for what? Glaciation, isostasy, the sea, folding and particularly faulting more than folding. Regional geography, usually 1 question, similar, same question every single year. And skills, I'm going to be looking out for my ordnance survey maps. That is practice, aerial photographs as well. And we've been practicing them over the last number of weekends in the kind of little master classes we're doing with short questions. Weather skills, learn that. That's there on the platform for you right now. You can jump into that after this class. Now, that's my short questions. After that, we have our separate booklet, our structured and essay style questions. But please note, and make sure even pop either on our platform, obviously the Grinds 360 platform, or on the SEC's website, you'll see at the back of them short questions, there's your written paper, okay? Be familiar with that. This comes separate, these questions here. Now, in part number 2, we have our structured and essay style questions. What do you need to remember to do here? Well, if you ever look at there's only really older chief examiners reports. What you have to be mindful of is to avoid what? Number 1, waffle. He doesn't say that, okay? Avoid waffle. When I say the word waffle, stop trying to just kind of drag sentences out constantly, okay? Stop trying to drag everything out. Be blunt with your sentences. A sentence shouldn't be 9 or 10 lines long. It should be very, very blunt, short, sweet, to the point. And number 2, avoid repetition. Stop telling me the same thing 10 times in one essay. Please stop doing that. Now, in relation to this section here, I will answer the questions just towards the end when we get to this, okay? We have obviously physical, regional, our electives and options. And if you're in 5th year, you may be very, very lucky. You may be about to get the exact same structure as I'm talking about here. However, we won't know that until it's, fully committed to. However, I'm referring to 6th years currently, but 5th years, it's looking like you're about to get this. There was an announcement yesterday. Now, you have physical, regional, your electives, and your options. In this year's Leaving Cert exam, you have to answer 3 questions from 3 different sections. What I recommend doing here is physical, regional, and my option. And a 4th question from any section, which means you could go back and answer a 2nd physical question. That means that I'm going to answer 2 physical, 1 regional, and 1 option. Now, again, in school, you might be looking at your economic or environmental electives. That's absolutely fine. You go whatever you're doing, but 3 questions from 3 different sections and a 4th question from any. Physical geography. Physical geography is questions number 1, 2, and 3. Regional geography is questions number 4, 5, and 6. My economic elective is 7, 8, and 9. And my human environmental is questions number 10, 11, and 12. Now, straight away there, one thing to point out to you, and I'm going to draw a line down the side here. Everything as far as this point here shares the exact same structure. Okay, so physical, regional, and your economic and environmental electives. And before actually I say anything else about this, you cannot do your economic and your environmental. You do one or the other. My choice was always environmental. I always took out the economic. That's just personal preference. Again, your teacher will have a preference. You'll have a personal preference yourself. Just, you cannot answer an economics question and an environmental question. Keep that in mind. Now, in relation to physical geography, questions number 1, 2, and 3, what is the structure that applies here? Well, you have your part A, your part B, and your part C. So if I go to question number 1, I have a part A, a part B, and a part C. My part A, typically speaking, if it's question number 1A, it's sketching an ordnance survey map. Generally speaking, every single year, it might be an image with a series of questions below it. My part B and my part C are my essay style questions. My part A is worth 20 marks, part B, 30 marks, and part C is worth 30 marks. So if I pick question number 1, I do the entirety of question number 1, the part A, B, and C. Question number 2 and 3 will have the exact same structure. Now that means that that question in total is worth 80 marks. 80 marks. But timing is the really important thing here. Timing wise, what do we know? My part A is worth 20 marks and allocated 5 minutes of my time, a maximum of 7. My part B is worth 30 marks and allocated 15 minutes of my time, and my part C is worth 30 marks, which again is 15 minutes of my time. That means if I choose question number 1 as my first question, that'll be 35 minutes of my time. Now, as I said, we're hopefully planning on doing 2 physical, so you might answer question 1 and 3. Again, it depends on the day you're Leaving Cert exam. But question number 1 and 3 will have the same structure. Part A, part B, part C, 20, 30, 30, 5, 15, 15. Keep that in mind. A lot of students go over on that timing, and basically it's their timing that goes wrong. It's a very, very strict 2 hours and 50 minutes. Now, let's say I answer 2 physical, 1 regional. I'm personally not going to go for my economic. You might be going for that. And then I go for my option here. Most students will go for an option. The most popular option is geoecology. Geoecology, culture and identity, global interdependence, whichever one you're going for there. I'm going to be looking a little bit at geoecology. I do have some essays up on the platform now. Got a couple of questions about that, but they are on the platform in the on-demand section. Geoecology is the most popular of these. But whichever one you pick, you cannot pick 2 electives. For example, I couldn't do a geoecology question and a culture and identity question. However, I could do 2 geoecology questions. Geoecology in the Leaving Cert exam, and I'm going to go for this one here because this is what most students will be doing, is questions number 16, 17, and 18 in your Leaving Cert exam. And this is the only place the structure of the exam actually changes. So everything to this point, my physical, regional, and my elective is the same. My option is different. I've done 2 physical, 1 regional, and I'm going to do 1 of my geoecology. Now, you'll probably know this yourself. Geoecology is split up into 2. It's split up into soils and biomes. My favorite to do there is biomes, and again, they're on the platform. I have the essays there. Everybody does something different, so hopefully I have the ones for you. I've done 2. I've done the Amazon, and I've looked also at a second one there. Not going to be discussing that today. If at the end of class there's questions on things like that, I'll answer them then, okay? Now, in relation to this question, this is a different structure. You answer 1 essay. You answer 1 essay question. And this essay question is worth what? For this 1 essay, it is an 80-mark essay. Now that 80 marks is split into 2. It's split into 60 marks for your significant relevant points. And it's split into another 20 marks for your coherence and length. That's a little C, coherence and length. We'll be looking, as I said, at this after the Easter break. Final thing to say there, this is 1 essay, and it is worth 35 minutes of my time. Now, as I said, my plan here, when I walk into the Leaving Cert exam, that's the structure. This is the plan. You need your plan. You have about a month and a half to actually get this in your head. What are you doing first? Well, what's my plan? If I walk into my Leaving Cert exam, if I was doing my Leaving Cert exam, what would I be doing first? I'd be going straight to the back of my exam booklet, and I'd be going to my geoecology question and answering that first. That there is 80 marks, which means for 1 essay style question, I'm focusing on biomes. There's 2 essays there on biomes. Again, I'll answer things about that at the end. If you have any questions, hold them till then. That is number 1. That is going to be the first 35 minutes of my exam. That is number 1. That's 20% done. Once I've got 1 essay written, my geoecology essay written, I am jumping straight over to my short questions number 2. That is the second 20% of my Leaving Cert exam. That means that in 40, I would say apologies there, in the first 55 minutes of my exam, I have 40% of my paper done. I've still 6 essays to write. I've still 3 part A's to do, but I've 40% done. If I include my field investigation, which hopefully is done, dusted and out of the way, if I include that field investigation in there, I'm up as far as 56% of my final grade done. In 55 minutes. You have almost 2 hours to do your 2 physical questions, your 1 regional question, or whatever combination you are doing there. So you go in, geoecology number 1, short questions number 2, 40% done, 55 minutes, and then what you go to is your best question after that. Leave the worst question to last. Now, that there is my structure. I see I have a few little questions. So anything that's on structure, I'm going to be answering now. So, as I said, not really going to talk too much about the biomes geoecology side of it, but just going from the end there, how many biome essays come up every single year? If you look at back at the paper, generally speaking, it's 1 biome essay every single year. Okay, is it guaranteed that it's 2 soils, 1 biome? No, absolutely not. We did see 1 year that it was 2 biomes and 1 soil. Again, there's no guarantee for anything like that. Final question there, is the concepts of region in the regional section Q's? So I think what you're asking me is the short questions here that I mentioned on regional geography, is it based on the concepts of region chapter, which is the first chapter of my notes? Yes, it is. And you'll find all them short questions, not them all, but back as far as about 2015 at the back of them. Now guys, that there is the structure. 1 more question. Do you think we'll be too stuck for time if we do 2 geoecology questions? No, absolutely not, because your 2 geoecology questions are still 35 minutes each. So once you time them correctly, it's the exact same. If you're doing 2 geoecology, it means you have only 2 questions to do after that. But you can do 2 geoecology questions. There's no reason not to. They're still going to be 35 minutes each, which is the exact same as up here. You will just need to know your soils very, very well. Okay? Now, that is my structure. And if there's any random questions about structure, obviously keep them till the end if you can. We're going to be popping over as far as the next board now in a second. I'm going to leave you there for a minute. And we're going to be going to page number 28 of our downloadable notes.